And so today we have Bryan Peck, Vice President of Sales, Dean Evans, CEO, and Claire DeGroot, Account Executive, will share the top 5 ways to improve your event request process. So let me get you, Bryan, I will make you the host now.
Okay.
You will no longer see me.
All right.
But I'll be here.
Okay. Thanks, Cindy. All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm Bryan Peck, Vice President of Sales for Mazevo. And today we're going to be talking about ways to improve your event request process. This is just based on our years of experience and just working with other institutions out there. And I think this is some low-hanging fruit that we'll be talking about here today for a lot of people. So let me go ahead and share my slides with everybody so you can see that. All right. Okay. So, and here we are. You can see us as we're panelists right here. There, Cindy already introduced everybody. So, but first thing, just to kind of set the table here, what is Mazevo? Most of you have probably already heard of Mazevo before, but if you haven't, Mazevo is a scheduling software and event management platform for higher education. So it can do everything from scheduling your space on campus, whether you're talking about a single department or multiple departments or an entire campus, can do that. And then it also manages all the details that go along with that, like room setups, equipment needs, catering, audiovisual. You can even do billing for your rentals. You can do reporting out of it. So all of those details. And Mazevo was founded by Dean Evans, who was the original founder of EMS software, along with a few of us that actually worked with Dean over the years at EMS. So we have a lot of knowledge in this area of event management systems and things like that. And really, Mazevo is known for being just a modern system. It was created in 2019, so relatively young. But it's also known for being easy to learn and use. It's a simplified kind of platform from a lot of the systems that are out there today. It also makes it really, really fast to implement, especially if you're switching off of some kind of legacy system. We have a lot of experience in moving people over, and it's also accessible from any device. So it doesn't matter if you're on your computer, on your phone, tablet, you can get to Mazevo from all of those systems here. So, and here's a little screenshot of what it looks like on those different systems. So so let's talk about the top 5 ways to improve your event request process. So essentially, these ways are going to help you improve better customer service, better customer experience, because typically what is better for your customers is also better for you. It's going to make your job much more efficient and just easier to get through the day. So first thing that we always recommend people do is look at your request form and see how you can simplify that. So we've built a request form into Mazevo, which has a lot of configuration and things like that you can do to it. But in general, it's very, very simple for both your novice users. So whether it's, a freshman on campus that's never planned an event before, has no idea, what's going on there, or somebody that's more advanced, kind of straddles both of those sides that way. The other thing that's helpful with any request form is allowing requesters to check availability as they're putting their request in. So they're not just blindly going, oh, I hope this room's available, and then it's not. And then there's all this back and forth and everything like that. So that's key as well. And then also being able to gather all the relevant details right up front. And so that, you can get everything you need to start planning that event. That's important too in a request form. Now, you can go overboard in gathering details, and that goes to point number 2 here, which is limit the number of questions that you ask on the request form. Over the years, we have seen some request forms that have just pages and pages and pages of questions that are there for people to, fill out. And the problem with that is, one, it just, gets fatiguing for the requester. They get frustrated, things like that. But also, you're less likely to get accurate answers that way when you just hit them with a lot of questions. So we've got some strategies with Mazevo. Dean will be showing this to you here in a moment, and how we handle that. But you just want to be aware of that. The third thing you want to do is set proper expectations for response time. Sometimes people, they just, we've seen it where somebody puts a request in the system and then it's like, oh, I've got the room now. My event's going to go off without a hitch and everything like that. And that a lot of times comes from the inexperience of people. And so being able to communicate that to people up front, just when they're going to hear back from you is important there with that. And also, if it is going to take a little bit longer to get back with somebody, communicating that to them, maybe you want to send them an email or something like that to let them know, hey, we're working on it, kind of thing that way. So just something to be aware of there. And then the third is tracking the communications with your customer that way. This comes really into play when you have a larger event office. So if you're just a one-person shop where you kind of do all the scheduling in your department or on campus, things like that, not that big of a deal. If a customer sends you an email, you can reply to it. And if you need to look at that email later, you can go back into your email box and find it, things like that. It becomes more complex when you have a lot of people in your office. And if you're out and the customer has a question about their event, if not everybody in your office has access to your email or what was, talked about, things like that, that could cause some problems. So being able to log communications in your scheduling system becomes a bigger deal, especially when you have 2 or more people that are overseeing scheduling that way. And then the last one here is allow users to update their requests. We all know things change, and it's no different when you're planning an event. The thing may get put in and it's approved and everything like that. And then all of a sudden they want to change the room or the time or, the equipment they need, something like that. So having a process in place to handle those updates and do that as efficiently as possible is key as well. So we're going to show you Mazevo here now so you can kind of see how in the Mazevo system, we've put these tips into practice there to make this, a simplified process for everybody that way. So the way we're going to do this, I'm going to hand over control here in a second to Dean, and Dean's going to hop into the Mazevo request form and actually show you what the request form looks like so you can kind of see it right up front that way. So let me go ahead. I'm going to stop sharing and I will make Dean the host here. All right, there he is. Okay, good. Okay.
Let me go ahead and share my screen. Hi, everybody. I'm Dean Evans, CEO of Mazevo. And what I'm going to show you here in a moment is how you would put a request in through the Mazevo system. So I've logged in here on a browser. There's nothing to install on our system. It's all browser based and it's in the cloud. So from here, I'm just going to go to this first option here, add new request. And I've logged in as a simple requester. It's not an administrative role or anything like that. And I'll just say this is a chess club meeting. If I could type. And the type of event, we'll just go down here to meeting and we're going to look for the chess club. So I'm just setting up some basic information. And then let's say I need a room that's going to hold at least 12 people. And now I'm going to pick my dates and times that I want to have this. Chess people don't like to get up too early, so we'll do this in the afternoon. And then we'll do it later on in the month here. We'll do it on these 2 days right here in November, and I'll continue through the process. So what it's done at this point is Mazevo has gone out to my default building, which is the student center right here. And it's trying to locate all of the space that's available for me on those 2 days from 1 to 3. And here's the answer. It's gone out and it's found them all. If I'm looking for a specific room and I don't see it there, I can I can look at the unavailable rooms, and you can kind of see some of the rules that we've got set in place here. So again, the guidelines, we're trying to put up the little guardrails and things for this requester who may not know a lot about making a request. So I'll go ahead and take a look at this Ballator gallery here. I'll click on that and I can see an image and some other information about that. So I'll go ahead and select that. And at this point, it's asking me for what setup style. And these are set up on the room. So I'll say it's a classroom style set. And again, a lot of configuration goes into this, and a lot of things are optional. And this panel right here would be one that you could configure. These services are only going to be shown for the rooms that I've selected. So in this particular case, maybe I want some facilities and some audio visual, and I'll continue through the process. And I'll say I need an easel and I'd like a portable screen projector. And I can continue through the process. Now, at this point, this is what Bryan was referring to is, don't ask them thousands of questions. And the way we've designed Mazevo is these questions are going to be prompted for based upon the event that you're putting in. So right here, it's asking me, do I need assistance with AV? Well, that's because I selected some AV equipment. Had I not picked that, I wouldn't see that. So I'll go ahead and say, no, I don't need anything. And is there any additional setup? None needed. And then I'll submit my request. And that is essentially all there is to putting in a request. Now it takes me to what we call my events, which is, again, if you think of, this is a list of your orders if you were in Amazon world. So these are all of the requests that I've created, and they're showing me the current status. I've got some that are booked and some that are pending. And so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and then Bryan's going to go show you what that looks like to approve that event. So, all right, Bryan, do I just go into participants? And
yeah, just participants, and then make me the host again.
Okay, there you go.
There we go. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Okay, so I am now bringing up Mazevo here. So you got to see kind of what it looks like from the customer or the requester point of view as Dean took you through that. So you got a sense of just how simple that is and how what the process looks like and everything there. At this point, I am in Mazevo now as well, again in my browser, and this is what it looks like from an administrator point of view. So if I'm somebody who's approving events, that's somebody in our language, we call them an event planner. So if I'm an event planner, I'm going to be reviewing the requests that come in and doing some of the other things in here. This is what Mazevo looks like for me. So you can see I've got a few more options than what Dean had earlier there. But where we're going to go now, we're going to continue with that request that Dean put into the system. So to pull those up, we have something here. It's called Day at a Glance. This is just where I go to see all of the requests that have been submitted this way. So in this case here, I've got 4 different requests that are waiting for my review here. So the one that Dean just submitted is this chess club meeting here. So I'm just going to go ahead and open that up, click on it. And this is a screen that's just showing me all the details about his request. So I can see here, it's the chess club meeting. It's a single request, but it actually has 2 bookings on it. That's the way we organize it. That's what I'm seeing right here. And I can see when he needs the room for. In addition, there's some setup and teardown time that was added to this automatically. So Dean didn't have to worry about that. That just gets added on. But I can see here it's a request and it's got some services. These are those equipment items that Dean had requested here. So those are right here. So everything that I need is right on this screen to kind of review this event this way. I can see what the equipment was right from here, those kinds of things. If we go down, though, I'm going to look at this approvals right here. This, remember, one of the keys that I said earlier was, communicating, setting expectations for your response time. And again, ideally, you don't want to keep people waiting too long because they're trying to plan their event, right? So if we go over here to this approvals, we built this in for organizations that have like a multi-tiered approval process where there's more than one individual or group of stakeholders on campus that need to review events before they can happen. And so our approval process here gives you a way to manage that. So in this case here, Dean requested some AV equipment, and Mazevo is aware of that, and it knows that we need to get some approval from the AV team before this event can happen. So I may be the event planner, and I'm the one that, kind of has the final say over everything here. But in order for me to approve this, I know I need to hear from my AV team. So we built that all into the system so that the AV team can be notified automatically by email when there's a request that needs their approval. And then I, as the event planner, have a way to monitor these things. I can go into the event like I'm looking at now and see this one's waiting here for review. But I also have a whole nother screen on my day at a glance that shows me all of the approvals that are currently out right now that I can go and see, okay, which ones have been looked at, which ones am I still waiting for? I can identify any bottlenecks, maybe if somebody's been out for a while and they're not getting back to me, I can identify that quickly and go, okay, I need to track somebody down here, or, whatever it is. So again, that just goes to that timeliness fashion there. So because what we found was a lot of times if you're trying to manage that in your email and, things like that, it can get complex quickly and difficult to do. So that's what our approval process is in here. Let's see. And we also have a built-in messaging function in here as well. So this is in here. We've built kind of like a chat tool in the system that will allow you to communicate back and forth with the people making a request. So you can see here in this example, Dean went in and actually sent me a message here asking if he can get into the room early to set up his chessboards, right? So I can see that. I get alerted as an event planner when this happens, but also anybody else on my team can be alerted too. So it doesn't have to be just me. It can be like my whole office or whatever, but we can be alerted when messages come in. I can also use this to message other people on my team. So maybe if I need to send a message to somebody, or I need to send a message to the AV team or something like that, if they're Mazevo users, they'll get these messages in the system, and they're all self-contained right here. So, I can write him back, send him a message that way. It'll go in here, and then Dean will get alerted on his end. He'll either get an email if he's not in Mazevo when this comes through, or if he is looking at Mazevo, he gets alerted in there as well. So, but anyways, this is how kind of the messaging goes back and forth. And because it's all tied in under this event, other people on my staff would be able to open this event up and go to the messaging tab and see, the history of messages that have gone back and forth that way. So anyways, but then there's other details up here too that I can keep track of in here. I won't go into all of those today, but anytime, usually if you see a number next to it, that means there's stuff under it. So, we've got 2 event questions here. Those were the questions that Dean answered. And then there's this emails tab down here. So this emails, we have a way to, this is also part of that communication process that I said so important, to be able to track the communication with your customers. Here, Mazevo is going to automatically send a post-event survey to Dean on the 23rd. After all of his chess meetings are done, he's going to get an email from us with a survey to fill out. And I know it's going to Dean because it's going to the primary contact. He is the primary contact right here. That's how I see that. So this gives you some transparency. You can tell, oh, okay, we've got an email that's scheduled to go out here after the event. Some of our customers use this to remind people about their events before they happen. So like maybe a day before, you can have an email go out, hey, don't forget you've got an event scheduled with us tomorrow, kind of thing. So you can have those emails. Again, they get scheduled automatically based on some criteria that you set. So I didn't have to do anything to schedule this post-event survey. It was already queued up in here. The other thing we have in here is a history. You can store a history of all the emails that you've been sending to the customer here from Mazevo. So things like their confirmation, I'll show you that here in a second, as well as you can also log emails in here as well. So if I receive an email from Dean with a bunch of details about his event, and we've been emailing back and forth, I can forward that email here into Mazevo. Every event has a special email address on it. This is just kind of a code. It's just it's the name of my system, demo 1, and then this E6259. Every event has a unique number on it. So I forward an email to this address right here. It's going to end up down here in the history. And again, my whole staff will be able to see that in here. So this is how you can log emails into the system so that other people can view them, and you keep that communication chain going that way. So I'm just going to wrap this up by approving the event right here. I'll just say, yeah, it's approved. We're going to change its status. The status right now is in a request status. That's what this is right here. And we're just going to change it to confirmed. So I've now confirmed the event, and I've said, yeah, we're ready to do this. It's all good to go. If I hit the email button right here, this is how I communicate that back to the customer. I can send Dean a confirmation. I'll just show you what that looks like. So the confirmation is this document right here, and it's designed to be branded. So your university logo would show up here, your university colors would be added, so it all kind of looks nice and everything. But this is what Dean gets back from me, letting me know, okay, the event's been approved. I hit send here. I can type a little message out, thank you. I put my policies on here, whatever I want to do, and I just hit send, and now he gets that email from me as well. So that's what the process looks like. The last thing I'm going to mention here, and then we'll open it up for any questions that we have. I mentioned one of the other best practices is to allow people to update their requests. So allow them to come back and do that. And the way that we manage that in Mazevo is that if we go back out here again to the menu and we look at this day at a glance, we'll go back in. This is where we started, right? This is where all the new requests come in, but also where all the changed requests come into as well. And so we can see here, if I'm looking down this list, I'll draw your attention to this column here, status, and the status on this bottom one here is request change. So these two are like newer requests that have come in. But this one, somebody came back and they updated their request. And so it put it in this request change status. And so again, I'm going to want to review that change. So just because somebody changed it, it means that somebody now needs to go in and look at that and review those changes, make sure that's all going to be okay. And so I'm going to click on it, just like we did with the other one, open it up, and I'm going to see, here's all the details of this event, this finance review meeting. Here's its bookings and everything. Now, from this screen here, I can't necessarily tell real easily, like, well, what changed here? It's like, it could have been anything, right? So we have a little button up here. This is our little history button, this little clock thing. And if I go into this shows me a history of everything that's ever been changed on this event right here. So if we look at this right here, it puts them in the order when the change was made and stuff. But in this case, the room was changed. I can tell here the change was the room. It went from conference room 1 into the lounge. And it also changed, the system did this, it changed its status automatically from confirmed, like it was before, into request changed. And if we scroll over a little bit, I can see the name of the user that made that change or requested it. So whether it was somebody on my staff that was doing it on behalf of the customer, or it was the customer themselves, I'm going to see that right here. So that's how you can kind of go in and see, okay, what was changed here? Let's look at it. And then at this point, I can, make the call. Do I want to make any, or do I want to approve this essentially? So, yeah, so those were the pieces. We're just showing you kind of at a high level, some of these things here in Mazevo to at least give you a sense of what it looks like and those kinds of things. So at this point, what I'd like to do is go ahead and open it up and see if there are any questions. So I'm going to stop sharing right here. And actually, and one other thing while I'm doing that, I'm going to bring up a slide here, because one thing that we put out there, let me share this, some next steps for people. So as you're thinking about this, I had Cindy go ahead and put in the chat for this Zoom here, this link to our ultimate guide to meeting room requests. That guide goes through those 5 best practices that I put in here today for everybody and that I shared with you. And it also has some other best practices as well. I would highly encourage you to check it out. You can click that link that's in the chat. I put it up here as well. But go check that out. It's great for anybody, whether you use Mazevo already or not. It will just help you in thinking through like your request process and how to make it more efficient for everybody that way. And we'd also recommend, if you did see something that you like today and you're considering maybe alternatives to your current system, we're happy to do a more personalized demo with anybody, and we can kind of get into the nitty-gritty of some of the other details of Mazevo and really tailor it based on what you're looking for there. So I'll leave it with that. And at this point, I guess I'll ask Cindy, do we have any questions yet at this point? Okay.
Well, I know Claire and Dean have been answering some questions as we've been going along, but
good.
Yeah. Brian, if you could show the book again. Chris has asked a question, how do you see availability on a particular day?
Oh yeah, sure. Absolutely. So yeah. So we have a tool called the book. It's called the event book in here. This is a tool that pretty much any scheduling system out there has. I know EMS had a tool like this. This is what our version of the book looks like. It's a way to see, here's all my rooms. And then anytime a room is booked, it puts a colored bar in there for me, so I know when the room's in use. The different colors represent different statuses. So this diversity council here, that's a tentative meeting. The green ones are confirmed. So yeah, you can see all the details right from here, this view.
And Kelly, I was about to type in your answer here, but you ask, is there some kind of auto approve process? And we can create rooms in Mazevo could either be designated as reservable or requestable. The one that I made, the example I made, it was a requestable room, but we have people that run in, study spaces and things like that don't need any kind of approval process. So those automatically go in as a confirmed status. So yes, you can do that. So Brian, Austin's asking about integration with Workday.
Yeah. Workday integration from a student information system standpoint. If Workday is your SIS system for all of your classes, we do have a built-in integration there with your student information system, so we can bring all the courses over that are existing in Workday and populate Mazevo with those courses. We even have tools in Mazevo that can be used for the registrar to help them assign rooms to all of those courses, and then update Workday with those room assignments automatically. So if that's what you're going for, Austin, then yes, we do that. There are probably other types of integrations that could be possible as well with Workday. I'm not sure, but we could always explore that further. So.
Brian, there's a question here from Alan at UVM about what other interfaces do we have in addition to Banner? And it was like parking, diagrams, cater tracks was a question. So just kind of a what do we integrate with?
Yeah. Well, Mazevo comes with an API, which is usually when you're talking about integrations, that's usually the road you end up going down. The API powers all the integrations with other systems, things like that. And so some of the common ones we see are digital signage. So if you have like signs outside the door of each room, our API can power those. We also even have a room sign software that can run on those signs. So that's a very popular one. We see that a lot. You can even do it with like the big kiosk displays that are maybe in a lobby and those kinds of things. HVAC integration is another one. So people can actually tie Mazevo into their HVAC system and turn it on or off automatically, depending on if there's something scheduled in the room or not. That can save people a ton of money, a ton of time. That's definitely a good one. Another one that we see is credit card processing integration. So tying in, if Mazevo can actually generate invoices for your events. So if you're renting out space and those kinds of things, you can send a customer an invoice from Mazevo. And on that invoice can be a link where they can go to pay that invoice online with their credit card. And if they do that, Mazevo would get updated automatically with that payment information so that you know, okay, this one's been paid, and it's all secure and integrated with your campus payment system. So that's another one.
Room diagrams?
Room diagrams, absolutely. You can tie room diagrams into this. I think this one even has one. Let me just click on events that have a diagram. You can just save it. It's got the little icon right here. It says there's a room diagram. And you can save that with Mazevo. And then if you're using our mobile app, your setup crew can pull up the event on their phone. They can see what they need to set up, and they can click the button and pull the diagram up on their phone as well. So that's all integrated, tied in that way. All right. Any other questions there?
That's it right now.
I have one question, Brian. I mean, just because, you know, there's always like priority given to certain groups. So is there a way within Mazevo that you can create some rules, like who can make requests, or, you know, when is the space available? I guess, yeah. Can you control the chaos of just everybody in there?
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Yes, you can control the chaos. You can put some limits on who can make requests, what they can request. So you don't have to necessarily open it up to all of your space. You can limit what rooms are requestable, and then the rules around those requests, like how much notice do you need? You know, maybe you need 3 days notice before you can, you know, confirm something or whatever. So how soon can they make a request, and how far out into the future you can let them make a request. Those are some common examples that we see there. So
Ryan asked a question here. How long would it take to implement?
Yeah, so implementation, the time frame is going to depend a little bit on what system you're coming off of. We have a lot of background with EMS. So if you're on EMS, for instance, we can actually convert all of your EMS data into Mazevo, which definitely speeds up the process because you're not having to re-enter everything. It's a nice, clean conversion that way. If you're not on EMS and you're coming from another system, we can switch you over as well. But it's just going to take a little bit longer. So just to give you an idea, time frame, what that looks like, it can go, if you're on EMS, it can easily go as fast as within a couple of weeks, you could be switched over and up and running. If you know you're a bigger operation or you're switching off of something that's not on EMS, it can take a little bit longer than that. It's really just going to be limited by, you know, how fast you can get your information in the system. We have designed it to be easy to implement no matter who you are, and we do help you with the implementation there. So we'll make sure you get trained up and get all your questions answered, and we'll help you get things set up that way. So.
Great. Wow, well, that was almost perfect timing.
Okay, good.
Good.
Last question, and we're almost at the end. I do also want to add, if you didn't grab that link, that we will be sending out a post email that will have all of the links to that document as well to everyone that registered. But I do want to say thank you, Brian, Dean, and Claire. And with that, I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their day to join us. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 9:45 Pacific time. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thanks,
Thanks, everybody.
everybody.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.